Let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Astro Imaging channel. It's nice to see everyone out there. We have a bunch of people ready to listen to Mike Cranfield. And if you're a PixInsight person, you know Mike. His scripts are just fantastic and have made all our life much, much easier. Tonight he's going to talk about, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about PixelMath and how to do it easier or more effectively, or how to write your own scripts. I don't know, it's something about PixelMath. And we're all going to listen carefully because PixelMath is certainly powerful and it can do a lot of things that perhaps processes aren't really set up to do. And so Mike's going to talk to us about that. Before we get into that, a couple of things we're going to do. I was looking at our calendar and it's looking kind of sparse. So as we usually do, oh, boo-hoo, hold on. I got to take out my violin.
This is actually sad, not small violin.
Oh, I'm sorry, right. I'm not making fun of it. This is actually sad. We've been doing this for almost 11 years and have, I don't know how many shows we have, a lot, 400, 500. But we need presenters out there. We need people like you that have ideas, that do things perhaps a little bit differently. See the thing Molly's pointing at you. And so if you have an idea, you don't have to be a professional. You just have to have like a passion for astrophotographer and it's got something that's a little bit different than the ordinary thing that we'd like to hear about. And if you do, you go to the astroimagingchannel.org and there's a contact page. Fill out a little bit of the contact page, who I am, how do we contact you, and one of us will get back to you and talk to you and you can be part of the show. And again, in some cases it might be a little intimidating, but in fact, when you start talking about something you really believe and are passionate about, it really goes quite easily. That's after the first 5 minutes or so. In the first 5 minutes, you're right, we all panic a little bit, but don't worry about that. You'll get over it. Anyway, enough of that. One of the people who volunteered and is going to be on in 2 weeks is Robert Majewski. Did I mispronounce that correctly?
Majewski.
I don't know why. I am terrible at that. So, Robert, why don't you just give us a little short 30 seconds on what you're going to present in 2 weeks?
Sure. The title of my presentation is The Quest for Deep Sky Object High Resolution Imaging. What I plan on doing is discussing the factors involved with getting that high resolution imagery, like atmospheric scene, the choice of telescope, the plate scale, etc. I'll show some examples in here, but let me just say this right now. This isn't going to be a cookbook. It's basically my endeavors to do this, so that's why I call it a quest. So that's what I'm planning.
So, I mean, each of us has these little ways that we do these quests. And I think as we accumulate data, we always want the best resolution possible. And I think if most people are like me, it's like, we could always do a little bit better and a little bit better. And Robert, perhaps you can give us some hints where we can do a little bit better, which is what we all want
like
to do.
right now here. I mean, so
no.
okay.
Don't give away. Don't give away now. You're going to do it in 2 weeks. So this will get people back in 2 weeks.
Right. Okay.
And I think that's all for an introduction. So, Mike, the floor is yours.
Great. Well, thanks very much, Eric. And a big thank you to the Astro Imaging channel for having me back on again.
Oh, Mike, before you get started, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but everyone out there should realize that Mike is staying up and losing sleep. That it's, what time is it there, Mike?
It's 2:30 in the morning.
2:30 in the morning. I don't think any of us have the endurance. So thank you very much for staying up and
That's all right.
to us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've got plenty of caffeine running around, so hopefully that'll stand me in good stead. So yeah, as Eric says, my plan this evening is to talk to you about a script which I have called PixelMathUI. I thought it might be helpful just before I sort of dive into the nitty-gritty on it, just to talk a little bit about how the script came about. That might help just sort of inform situations in which you might want to use the script. It started as a tool that I wrote entirely for my own use, without the intention of ever sort of it seeing the light of day more generally. When using more complex PixelMath expressions with several parameters that affected the image, I thought actually it'd be really nice to be able to link those parameters to a slider and be able to see the effect of changing the parameters on the sliders in real time with a preview. So I sort of pulled together a simple script that did just exactly that. Sometime later, I was talking with my good friend Bill Blanshan. Many of you will know Bill. He has a wealth of great PixelMath, which is designed to accomplish a whole range of tasks. And some of those we'd already worked together to convert into scripts and processes within PixInsight. But Bill said to me, you know, it'd be really great if rather than having to do bespoke scripts every time, he could simply bolt a front end onto his actual PixelMath so that it actually behaves just like a script. So I said, well, funny you should say that, because I've got a prototype for just exactly that. And Bill, in his own inimitable way, said, yeah, that's just what I need, but wouldn't it be great if it also did, and then reeled off a whole load of extra things he'd like it to do. So we worked together and produced what has now become PixelMathUI that I will be talking about this evening. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention some terminology. PMUI is a PixInsight script, but on its own, it doesn't actually do anything useful at all. It needs it is basically a front end, and it needs some PixelMath code, and it also needs for you to specify some controls for inputting parameter values, and to specify how those controls link to your PixelMath code. And I'll go through how you do all of that. But the file, we're basically calling the word scriptlet to denote the file that specifies those extra bits. The name is intended to convey, basically, it's script-like quality, but it's not actually a full-blown script. It requires PMUI in order to run and to become a full-blown script. The way I like to think about it is that PMUI is almost like a CD player. In itself, it doesn't actually do anything. You actually need CDs to put into the player in order for it to be useful. And the scriptlets are a little bit like the CDs. And I'm conscious that possibly for some younger people within the audience, perhaps that's a slightly outdated analogy, but hopefully it works. Okay, so without further ado, the best way to explain all of this is to actually see it in practice. And so I will share my screen. Hopefully I can do this. So can I just ask, is my screen now being shared?
Yes, it's in that fuzzy stage it was in earlier, but hopefully it'll clear up like it did. Oh, it's starting to clear up. Great. Okay, looks good.
Great. Okay, that's great. Good. Okay, so I'm going to talk through, and I'd like to sort of really be focusing on the detail of PixelMathUI, or PMUI as I'll call it for short. But in order to do that, we're going to need some PixelMath, and I'm going to try and keep the PixelMath relatively straightforward. I don't want this to be a teach-in in how to use PixelMath. So as an example, I've got, I'm going to use this image of the Pac-Man nebula. And it would be nice to have some PixelMath, which essentially will allow me to make the stars within this image either more prominent or less prominent, according to my taste. So in order to do that, I will need to have a starless version of the image, which I've created using star exterminator, but whatever star extermination process you have available will work. So I've got the target image and a starless image. And essentially all this PixelMath will do is it, first of all, it extracts the stars from the target image. And it does that by what I think is generally referred to as unscreening. So basically you subtract the starless image from your $T, which denotes the target image. And then you rescale by dividing by 1 minus starless. So that's the basic unscreening formula. We then modify the stars to create mod stars. And to do that, we basically stretch the stars using the midtones transfer function, which is the function which underlies the histogram transformation. We have a parameter here, star size. If star size is 0.5, this will do nothing at all. If star size is less than 0.5, this will basically reverse stretch your stars. So modified stars are now smaller. And if star size is greater than 0.5, it will stretch the stars so that modified stars now become more prominent within the image. Once we've done that, we then recombine the modified stars with the starless image, and we want to screen blend back. So it's not just straight addition, it's you have this extra term minus starless minus starless times mod stars. So this PixelMath here will then provide the modified target, which will change the size of the stars within the overall image. So what I'd like to be able to do is to be able to vary the various inputs to this PixelMath. And the inputs are the $T, which is the target image, starless, which is the starless version of the target image, and star size, which is the parameter which will tell me how large the star should be in my final image. So to do that, I fire up PixelMathUI. Now, first of all, you will obviously need to have PixelMathUI. So you'll need to know the repository address, which I put up on the screen there, but will actually appear underneath the video, so you can get it from there as well. You'll need to do the normal process going into resources, updates, manage repositories. You add that repository address, you then check for updates. PixInsight should then find PixelMathUI, and you'll then need to restart PixInsight in order to install it. Once you've done all of that, you then go to your script menu, and under Cosmic Photons as a sub menu, you should find PixelMathUI, the script, which you can launch. Now, one thing I forgot to do, let's close that. In order to import this into PixelMathUI, you'll need an icon version. You'll need to create an icon with this PixelMath in it. And you do that just by grabbing the triangle at the bottom left of the PixelMath, drag it onto your desktop to create process 5, which now embodies all of this PixelMath. So let's open PMUI. And this is the, let's just close that down. So this is what you would be presented with when you first open PMUI. It's just a blank container, if you like, and this is where you will define the scriptlet that will embody this PixelMath. So the first thing we need to do is we need to import this PixelMath into PMUI. And to do that, you open this panel, denote your PixelMath, select the PixelMath icon that we just created, process 5, and import that selected PixelMath into PMUI, and you get a confirmatory message down here which tells you that's been imported successfully. Now, a point to note is that once you've imported the PixelMath into PMUI, the link between the scriptlet here and the PixelMath over here is broken. So there is a complete copy of that PixelMath now imported into PMUI. If you make a change to the PixelMath over here, it will not affect the PixelMath within your scriptlet. You'd have to re-import the new changed PixelMath in order to affect any changes. So that's the PixelMath imported. The next thing we needed to be able to define is the target image, $T in our PixelMath. And that's already available to us. We've got target view as a drop down, and we can select the target view that we want to use from that drop down. An important point to note about PMUI is that it will always run in view context. That is to say, it will always need a target view. You can't run it in global context. So that's why I didn't have to do anything. The target view is already there for me to select. The next thing I need to be able to specify is the starless view, the name of the starless view to use. And that is a view parameter. So I open the view parameter panel, and I've got a little plus icon here. If I click on that, it opens a dialog which allows me to specify a drop-down box to select the starless view. So I put in ignore Z order for the moment. I'll come back to that in a minute to explain what that is. But text is just a prompt, which I will just have as starless view. And then symbol is the symbol within PixelMath that I want this to link to. And I want to link to this symbol here, starless. So I just simply write starless in for symbol. Ignore enable rule for the moment. I'll come back to that in a minute as well. Click OK, and that creates a drop-down box from which I can select the starless view I want to use. So now I've got target view, I've got starless view. The other thing that I need to be able to specify is the star size, and that is a symbol parameter within PixelMath. So I open the symbols parameters panel. Again, I can click on plus to add the parameter control. And now I am presented with a number of different ways of specifying the numerical value of star size. I could have a slider control, which is what I will use. There is a numeric control, which is essentially basically a slider control, but without the slider. So you just have to type in the number. There is a drop-down control, so you could select from textual input, spin box, which allows you to input integers, odd spin, which is exactly like spin box, but only allows you to put in odd integers, which can be useful, and a checkbox, which is really an off-on true, false, 1, 0 input. And then this final control over here is simply intended to allow you, if you've got a very complex interface, this allows you to make it a little bit easier to read by putting in dividers. So in order to input the star size parameter, I want a slider. So if I click on that, it'll bring up an edit box. And again, Z order I'll come back to. The lower bound of 0 is fine, upper bound of 1, because those are the bounds we want for star size. Default value, I'm going to put that in as 0.5 because that would then be no change at all. I want a real number. I can have an exponential slider if I want, but I obviously don't want it in this particular case. I want a text input, which I'll call just star size. And then I want to link it to this symbol within the PixelMath star size. So I select that from there, click OK. And now I have a slider which is linked into this star size. So if I now use this, this should now be a working scriptlet. So I can select my Pac-Man nebula. That's interesting. Okay, so that's the Pac-Man nebula. I select the starless version of the Pac-Man nebula. And now at the moment, the stars, these are exactly as they were before. I should now be able to use the star size slider to either make those stars much bigger, or I can slide them down to make them much smaller in the image. So that is just a very simple scriptlet which will vary the star size within this image. This large area over here is the preview area, and there's quite a lot of functionality over here. So there's a checkbox up at the top left-hand side. If I uncheck that, I see the target image without any modification. If I check it, then you see the changes that are the modifications that these parameters will implement. Sometimes I'll be working with linear data, in which case I want to be able to put a screen transfer function. So this allows me to add a screen transfer function, either linked or unlinked, so that I can visualize the data that I'm working with. And I can set a target background to decide how bright I want that STF to be. Those of you who have used my scripts, my other scripts, will know some of the sort of functionality that exists for zooming. So if I click on the image and then drag, I can define a region of interest. If I then release the mouse button, it will zoom in to the area that I have defined. So that will zoom in. If I then double click on the image, it will zoom back out again. And there are various other zoom things that you can do, which I've described up in the sort of top right-hand corner. There's a zoom controls down here as well, which allow you to either zoom in or zoom out, zoom to a one-to-one image, and this button down here will zoom out to fit, which is basically the same as double-clicking on the image. So there's a lot of functionality in terms of zooming. There's also this thing which I call click point, and if let's zoom into the image for a minute. What I can do is I can select an individual pixel area, pixel point. If I shift click on the image, it will give me a crosshair selecting that specific pixel. And down here, I get a readout, which tells me that the pixel I've selected, the pixel coordinates here, X and Y. It also tells me the RGB values, so the values in each channel at that particular pixel point. At the moment, it's showing me the pixel values in a modified image because I'm looking at the preview. If I unclick this, so I'm looking at the unmodified image, the pixel values down here will be the unmodified image. So you can actually compare what the modification is doing to your pixel values just by changing whether you're looking at the preview or the target image. The other thing you can do at the moment is reading out just a 1x1 square, i.e. the specific pixel. But by pressing on this, the three dots to the right of the click point, the ellipsis here, you can bring up a readout options dialog. So you can read out, for example, statistics within a larger square, a 9x9 square, for example, around that specified pixel. and you can look at either the mean, the maximum, minimum, or the median within that area. So quite a lot of flexibility in terms of using those readout options. And I will talk a little bit more about that in a minute, because there are ways that you can use that within your PixelMath code, which can be quite powerful. So having looked at that, it might be nice then to just look at some others of the controls. Before I just do that, this star size control, it would be nice if I could just get this back to its default value, which I can do, but it's just a bit awkward. If I click on the ellipsis to the right hand of this control, all controls will have this ellipsis to the right of them. If you click on that, it will bring back up the edit box. And that will then allow you, for example, to change how you specified things. But if I click on here, the reset button, and click OK, this now gives me a little button to the right, which if I click it, will automatically reset this to its default value. Having got I'd come back out of that. Having got the image to look exactly as you want it to look, so perhaps I want to make these, I'm going to go sort of really clown-like, because I'm conscious that you're looking on YouTube, and the resolution might be such that I need to make it quite exaggerated to be seen. So I make the stars much bigger here in order to commit that and to create the new image. I click on this tick, this check button down here. That will apply the transformation. And now if I just move this to one side, you can see it's produced the new image up here for me to use. The reason it produced a brand new image rather than overwriting the image that the target image is because that's what I specified within my PixelMath. If I wanted to overwrite the target image, I could overwrite what the PixelMath specified just by using this output tab. At the moment, the PixelMath output parameter is create a new image, but I could override that and replace the target image if I want to. The circle here will allow you to turn off the preview. Not something that I think you probably want to do very often, but it's there if you want it. Click back and the preview is back again. The little X here will close the interface. So what I'm going to do is just change the PixelMath a bit to show you some further controls that can be added and how they work. So if I close that. Yes, hello.
Oops. Before you close that.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to save a version.
No, I'll open it back up again. That's all right. If I can find it. There it is.
So is this saved in the menu, or do you have to save a copy?
Okay, so as you saw, I closed it and then I opened it back up again. When you open it back up again, it'll open up in the state that you last closed it. And yes, you can close a copy of this. You can save a copy of this. I was going to come to that in just a minute.
Okay.
But yes, you can certainly do that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Any more questions while we have Mike? I don't.
No, we're good on questions right now. Everybody's just watching intently to see what's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
Thanks, Mike. All
right. So let's close this down. And let's just make the PixelMath a little bit more, add another sort of element to it. Within the calculations that we're doing, we're not just calculating the modified target, we also calculate just the stars on their own. So what I could do is I could add an extra parameter, which allows me to just show the stars only image. Either show the stars only image, i.e. this this line here, or if it's if show stars only is 1, it'll just show the stars. And if show stars only is 0, i.e. false, then it'll show the modified target as before. So I need to modify this line here to have an if statement. If show stars only is equal to 0, then we will show the stars. Otherwise, we'll show the modified target as before. And now I need to make a new version of that. Process 6. Open up the Cosmic Photons PixelMathUI script. And now I'll need to import. Remember, there is no link. Import process 6. And now, because my default within the process within that PixelMath was for the show stars only to be. Let me just double check that. Sorry. What I can do quite usefully, if I launch the current PixelMath interface, it will launch the interface over here. So the default is show stars only equals 0. If show stars only equals 0, I've got that completely the wrong way around, haven't I? So let me just close this down. If show stars only is 0, i.e. false, then I want to show the modified target. If it's 1, then I want to show the stars.
Mike, can
Yeah.
I interrupt you? Dennis wants to know that when you're using replace target image, does it
Yeah.
save the running history?
Sorry, say again, I missed the end of that.
Okay.
Does it save something?
Does it save the running history? Can I go back
Yes.
if I make a change and I don't like it? Can I step backwards?
You can step backwards, yes. What it doesn't do, so it will basically just show, it'll show the PixelMath. So let's just have a quick look. Let's do that.
By the way, did I get the question right, Dennis?
Yep.
Okay, Dennis says yeah.
Yeah, good, okay.
No, Dennis didn't say that. Oh.
So if I replace the target image, I'll run it. Okay, so that now I need to look at view, the History Explorer. So you now it's basically showing the PixelMath that was applied. So you can go back to the target image if you need to. Hopefully that answers the question. So what I was going to do was just run PixelMathUI, import that new process so that we've got it there. And now that's going the right way round. But I want to be able to add a new control, which can just be a checkbox control. And I'm going to show that this will be the one that says or show so I need to show stars only. Okay, so if I check for showing stars only, it will show just the stars. If I uncheck that, it'll show the modified target image. So that's just showing how to use a checkbox. Now it'd be nice if the checkbox actually appeared before, because I really ought to decide what I'm going to do before I actually set the star size slider. So to edit anything, I use the ellipsis, but this is where this Z order that I pointed out before comes into play. The controls will always be will always appear in the interface in numerical Z order. So 100 appears before 200. So to get show stars only to come above the star size, I need to go in to edit that, change the Z order to something less than 100. And then that will then put it above the star size. So that's just a handy way to order your interface appropriately. The other thing that you can do is that if I show stars only, because I'm actually showing the stars, not the modified stars, this slider actually doesn't do anything at this stage. It only does anything if I'm showing the modified target. So what would be nice is if this were to actually just be disabled, if I have enabled show stars only. I can do that by again clicking on the edit button to the right of the control. And that's what this enabled rule is all about. If I click on that, and I can say disable this control when show stars only is equal to 1. And now if I've got this checked, then this becomes disabled. If I uncheck it, it becomes enabled. So you can actually get quite a sophisticated functionality within your interface, very straightforwardly. Now to come back to Eric, to your question, how do you then save this? Because we've now got a scriptlet that we want to maybe use more than once. This downward pointing arrow will allow me to save my scriptlet. So what I suggest you do is you set up a directory on your machine, and make sure that that directory is not a subdirectory of your PixInsight installation. Because if you make it a subdirectory to PixInsight installation, if you then update PixInsight at any stage, you would then overwrite all of your scriptlets. So have it somewhere else in your computer. So we will save it as star size. Now you'll notice that within this directory, I've also got starsize.html. The scriptlet will be saved with an extension of .PMUI. So there is already a scriptlet in here with a .PMUI extension. So this will save as starsize.pmui. Starsize.html is already there. Just put that to one side in your mind for the moment. I will come back to what that means in a minute. So if I save that, I should now be able to, if I clear everything out completely, and that's resetting the reset button down here. Are you sure you wish to proceed? Yes, I do. So I've now got a blank interface, and now to reload what I just had, I use this button, the upward pointing arrow, load scriptlet, and that then brings us into this load dialog box. I find my star size up here, and this will then allow me to launch it. Now you'll notice that at the moment what I've got up here is show my scriptlets. If you click on this drop down box, you will see your scriptlets, which are the ones that you've saved in whatever you specified as your scriptlets directory, and you'll need to specify your scriptlets directory down here using the normal choose directory button down here. But you've also got, and these will come automatically when you download PixelMathUI through the repository, You will also get a number of hosted scriptlets produced by Bill Blanshan and also one or two produced by me. So if I click on those, you'll see that actually Bill has produced a huge number of very useful PixelMath PMUI scriptlets. So even if you don't want to use PMUI to create your own scriptlets, you may well find it's worthwhile downloading it just to get access to all of this wealth of stuff that that Bill has produced. And I know that Bill he's already produced a couple of YouTube videos on his YouTube site covering some of this, but he intends to produce some more over the course of the year to look at some of these other ones as well. One thing you will notice is that in the hosted scriptlets, you've got a name, a version, and an author, as well as the file path, whereas in the My Scriptlets, we only had the file path. Now you can add name, version, and author, so let me show you how that is done. Let's launch the star size scriptlet again. There is this extra panel up here, which we call description. If you click on that, and then double click in this panel area, it will bring up a dialog which allows you to specify a title, a version number, an author, and then also here a web link. So if you produced a scriptlet and you feel it's going to be of useful general use and you want to make it generally available, and then say, for example, you produce a YouTube video to explain how it works and what to do with it, you can actually put a web link, you can put a link to your YouTube video in here. I haven't produced a YouTube video for this particular scriptlet. So just as an example, let me put in my my website. And then you can also put a description in to describe the scriptlet. So we'll call it star size. Something like that. And you can, within this, you can actually use some sort of basic HTML tags as well to make it a little bit prettier if you want to. So let's put the star size into bold. And then click OK. And that brings up the description up here. And we specified those. Over here, you've got two extra buttons which have now suddenly appeared. This button here will open the web link that you specified in that previous dialog. So if I click on that, that should then bring up my Cosmic Photons site. And the other thing that you'll see here is this button, which will bring up the HTML file that you saw when we actually saved star size. You will notice that we noticed that there was an HTML file in there with the same name as the scriptlet that we were about to save. Now, if PMUI finds an HTML file with the same name as the scriptlet, it will assume that it is documentation for the scriptlet, and it will then give you this extra button which allows you to bring up that documentation. So that can be quite helpful if you're making your scriptlets more generally available. Talking of documentation, there's very comprehensive documentation that we've written for the script itself down here at the bottom of the interface. And if you're going to use PMUI, I'd strongly recommend reading this because it'll cover lots of things which I've not spoken about so far this evening. Among those are these reserved symbols, and these actually, just a little bit earlier, I was talking about being able to use the click, where you click on the preview, having that talk to your PixelMath, and you do that using these reserved symbols. So PMUI click X, PMUI click Y, for example. Essentially, what these are parameters. If you click on the image, then PixelMathUI will know if you say PMUI click X, that is the position in the image that you've clicked on. So if you click sort of over to the right-hand side of the image, PMUI click X will be 0.9, 0, or right over here it'll be 1. If you're in the middle, it'll be 0.5. And then PMUI click Y is similarly. So up here, PMUI click Y would be 0-ish. Down here, PMUI click Y would be close to 1. So it allows you to pick that up within your PixelMath. So that probably was difficult to follow in abstract. So let me just show you an example of that in practice. I'll close this off completely. So clear everything down. Close that PixelMathUI and open up a new page. So this is another scriptlet, and I'm going to use as an example here this image of the Leo triplet. I quite often find my optics are not brilliant, my seeing isn't great, and I can get some fairly wacky stars going on. So this star here, for example, in this image, if I zoom into it, you'll see that actually it's got a lot of fringing going on, a lot of color fringing going on, and the purists among you will need to close your ears at this stage. But what I would really like to be able to do is to try and sort of make that a slightly more coherent stellar image. So let's have a look at some PixelMath that will do just that. And the idea here is to say, well, a star basically should be symmetrical, circular symmetrical. So in order to make this a little bit better, if I knew what the center of the star was, I could then rotate the star around that center a number of times, and then average those rotated images to give me a better, a sort of a more smoother image than is there at the moment. So what this PixelMath does is it will rotate, order is the number of times we rotate. So I've got order equals 7 at the moment. So basically what that means is that we'll rotate 7 times, and each rotation will be 1/7 of 360 degrees. And then those 7 images we will average. I don't want to rotate the entire image, of course. I only want to rotate the area of the star. So I specify a radius that will be affected by this rotation. And this is 60 pixels. So I'm only going to affect within 60 pixels of the center of the star. And I've also got an amount parameter here, which if I set that to 1, then I will get the full effect of the rotations. If I set that to 0, then it'll do nothing at all. So I'll just have the original image. And if it's something between 0 and 1, it'll have a blending between the two. But the key thing that I really want to show is this. We need to know what the center of the star is. And I'm going to do that by allowing the user to click on that preview to specify what the center of the star is. So x0 and y0 are the x and y coordinates of the center of the star. PMUI click X will give me the proportion horizontally across the image that we have clicked. And then if I multiply that by the width of the image, then that will give me the x coordinate. And again, PMUI click Y multiplied by the height will give me the y coordinate that I've clicked on. All of this is really don't need to go into the detail here, but this is basically the maths which will rotate the star on average and produce the final result. So let's create a scriptlet which will do what we want it to do. Fire up PixelMathUI. Now I can import the PixelMath, and I already had a star repair with the PixelMath, so I'll import that. Close that down. Target view is specified here. I don't need to specify any auxiliary views because I don't have any other views that I'm going to work on. I'm only going to work on the target view. And then I need to add those 3 things that I wanted to be able to specify. First of all, the radius, which I will specify on a slider, a lower bound, say 1, upper bound, say 200 pixels, text, radius, symbol is the radius. Put a reset button in there, put a default value of say 60, which is what we had before. Click OK. So that then gives me that slider for the radius. Then I want to add something which will allow me to add the order, so the number of rotations that we do, and that is going to be an integer. So I'm going to use a spin box for that. So I click on the spin box control selector. Lower bound, it doesn't make sense to do no spins at all. So let's say you've got to do at least 3 spins. My PixelMath was set up for a maximum number of spins of 19. So I'll put 19 in there. Default value of say 5. I'll link that to the order parameter. And then finally, I wanted that amount parameter. And again, I could make that a slider, but just for the sake of showing something different, let's put that as a plain numeric input. And the amount is between 0 and 1. Default value, 0 would do nothing at all. So default value of 1 is probably more sensible, which is the full effect. Amount, link that there. Okay. And that really should be all I need to create the interface for this scriptlet. So if I specify my Leo triplet image, and I can now zoom into that star. And I can, at the moment it's done nothing, of course, because what I haven't done is to specify the click point. So I need to specify the center of the star by finding the center, shift and click, and that will then do those rotations. That's done at the moment 5 rotations, and you can see it's a little bit smoother, looking a little bit better. We've got ghost stars going around here because this little star up here is within the 60 radius. I can reduce the effect of those ghost stars by perhaps increasing the order, so we've got a little bit more averaging going on. So 13, it's still there a little bit, so maybe we'd reduce the radius a little bit. And there we have a repaired star. So if I click between preview, so that's the target image, and that's the star after we've done this adjustment. So as I say, imaging purists, please close your eyes at all of that, but it can be helpful in terms of aesthetically, just improving the look of some of the more wacky stars that you might get from time to time within your images. I think that's probably, I'm just looking at the time, maybe if I stop at that stage and see if there are any more questions, because we're getting close,
Yes,
I think, to
Mike.
that. Yep.
Yeah, we have had a question, not so much about just what you're talking about, but Mark, where'd my Mark questions go? he's just installed the user interface, PMUI interface, and it asks if he should use option 1 or option 2. Option 1, where PMUI updates the script extensions, or option 2, he updates them himself. What's your advice in that area?
This was something that we put in when we first launched PMUI. The scriptlets were saved with an extension of .txt. Now that caused some problems because PixInsight was, sorry, PMUI was picking up everything, all text files, and it could slow things down quite a lot whilst it interrogated them to see if they were genuinely PMUI files or whether they were just a general text file. So we changed the extension to .PMUI. So if this is the first time that you've done this, the first time you've installed PMUI, you don't need to do any updating at all. If you've had that PMUI, the very early version of it already installed, then it's probably worth getting it to update. But if this is the first time, then you don't need to do any updating.
Okay, thanks.
Mike, you can stop sharing if you're done.
Yep, sure. Need to work out how to do that. Yeah, there we go.
It was a question about documentation, but I think you covered that already.
Have I stopped sharing?
Yes, there was a question about documentation, but I think you covered that when you clicked on the little button at the bottom.
Okay.
Alex, any more questions?
No, we're good. We're good. I was just going to point out that John noticed that it came up later, so he said that he's seen it, seen the answer.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Something more to learn. I always say that no matter what the presentation, when you think you know it, at the end you go, I didn't know that.
And the one thing that would be really nice would be if you know people are actually producing scriptlets that they find useful, to get those out and share it with the community generally. Because I don't think I've seen, obviously, Bill's and my scriptlets are already built into PMUI, but I don't think I've seen anybody share any of their own scriptlets elsewhere. So it'd be lovely to see some of those being shared.
You know, a question I have that you might know the answer to, what is the jump between scripts and a process in PI?
So scripts basically are they're written in JavaScript. Whereas a process is actually a C++ process, C++ program. So scripts, for example, you can actually you can open them up and you can actually see the code, whereas the processes are all compiled. So it's you know it's not quite as obvious exactly what's going on just by looking at you can't get at the original source code unless that's more generally publicly available elsewhere.
Okay, well, excellent presentation. I really enjoyed it. Did you have, Alex, did you have another question?
We've got some more questions.
Okay.
We talked about the pre-built scripts. Where are they? Can they be downloaded? Are they already part of the PMUI download or what?
So the preloaded scripts they're already there. So as soon as if you add that repository and you get PMUI within your installation of PixInsight, then you need to just go to that launch dialog that I showed, and then the top left-hand corner of that launch dialog, you'll have show. You can either show your own scriptlets, or you can show Bill's hosted scriptlets or my hosted scriptlets. They'll all be there, and you can just download them or use them as you wish.
Thank you. I think that does it.
Okay. Well, again, thanks very much for your presentation. Most interesting. And everyone out there, in 2 weeks, Robert's going to give us another presentation on how to get the highest resolution out of our DSO images, something we all really want to do. And if we're all set, So I think we can say goodnight. And Mike, Robert, you're welcome to stay after for our chit chat. So are we all set, Jaime?
Yeah, we are.
Want to take us out? All right, everyone. Good night. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Have a good
And
night.
we'll see you in a couple weeks.